Imagine a night where the sea is calm, the engines hum steady, and the stars glimmer without warning of what's about to come. For the crew of a U.S. Navy supply vessel, this was supposed to be routine. Fuel, ammunition, and provisions quietly moving through contested waters. And then the radar screen lit up. Dozens of unmarked contacts, small and fast, closing in from every angle. No lights, no transponders, no radio replies. Within seconds, alarms shrieked across the ship. General quarters, all hands man your battle stations. The announcement ripped through the decks. In under a minute, a logistics vessel became a warship in waiting. Imagine being one of those sailors, an engineer, a cook, a supply clerk, now crouched behind a .50 caliber machine gun, hands trembling on the grip. Reinforcements are 40 minutes away. The black horizon is alive with hostile intent, and survival now depends on you. This is not the story of simple piracy. It is the story of a hybrid maritime assault, where irregular tactics, encrypted communications, and overwhelming swarms collide with doctrine, discipline, and raw human will. To grasp why this battle mattered, you must understand the waters themselves. The Red Sea is one of the most strategic corridors on Earth. At its southern gateway lies the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a bottleneck through which nearly 10% of the world's trade and oil must pass. Whoever holds it can strangle economies. Imagine a funnel where supertankers, container ships, and warships squeeze past hostile shores. To the east, Yemen, fractured by war, its Houthi rebels armed with Iranian-supplied drones and missiles. To the west, Somalia, scarred by decades of piracy. The U.S. Navy's mission here is clear. Keep the lanes open, allies supplied, and deterrence intact. That's why ships like the USNS Supply matter. They are the lifeline. Without them, destroyers, carriers, and submarines simply cannot fight. But these ships are paradoxes. High value, soft targets. They rely on escorts like the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer USS Mason, DDG-87. On this night, however, the escort was an hour away. The supply vessel stood alone. For an adversary, it was the perfect opportunity. Strike a logistics ship, and you send a chilling message. Even the backbone of U.S. naval power is vulnerable. Every battle has objectives. For the U.S. Navy, it was simple. Survive until the Mason arrived. Protect the crew, keep the ship afloat. Nothing more. Imagine standing on the bridge, knowing your weapons are limited. Your training is logistical, and yet you must endure. Your fight is not for victory, but for time. For the attackers, the objective appeared at first to be piracy. Skiffs with ladders, men with rifles. But beneath the disguise, their intent was more disturbing. They moved with discipline. They coordinated by encrypted radio bursts. They jammed sensors. When one wrecked skiff was later searched, inside lay a laminated sheet of NATO ship silhouettes. Not ransom notes. Not loot. Targets. Their goal was not ransom. It was reconnaissance. A probe disguised as piracy, designed to measure American response times, test defensive procedures, and expose vulnerabilities. Yoriwa, initial contact. The radar screamed. 31 contacts advancing. The commanding officer sent an encrypted request for ROE clearance. 10 seconds of delay, 10 seconds of silence. Bridge to CIC, multiple fast movers, bearing 135, closing at speed. Request immediate ROE. Imagine the weight of those seconds. Gunners tracked targets in crosshairs, sweat dripping as fingers hovered above triggers. One wrong shot could spark an international firestorm. One hesitation could cost them everything. B. First engagements. The clearance came at last. Encrypted uplink. Hostile intent confirmed. ROE authorized. Engage. The starboard .50 caliber roared to life. The M2 Browning, a weapon nearly a century old, spat 700 rounds per minute, tracers lashing across the water. The first skiff splintered, engulfed in flames. The CRAM system, the ship's missile shield, switched under manual override, and for the first time fired on a surface target. Its rocket shrieked across the night, detonating mid-wave, erasing another boat in a thunderous flash. Imagine the shockwave rattling your chest, the night lit like lightning, the deck vibrating with every gun's recoil. And still, the attackers pressed on. Escalation and close combat. Some skiffs slammed against the hull. Grappling ladders rose. Pirates climbed, machetes and submachine guns in hand. The defenders met them with brutal resolve. Master-at-arms fired M4 rifles point blank. Engineers swung fire axes. A smoke grenade exploded, shrouding the deck in choking haze. A sailor fell, wounded, as others fought hand to hand. Below deck, damage control teams sealed compartments, battling Molotov fires, their actions as critical as the gunners above. Without them, fire could consume the ship. This was no longer logistics, this was war. After nearly 40 minutes of chaos, the radar revealed salvation. A new contact, steady, unmistakable. New IFF contact, USS Mason, DDG-87, bearing 090, closing fast at flank speed. The destroyer had arrived. Overwhelming firepower. Imagine the relief sweeping through the supply crew as the Mason's Aegis combat system came alive. Her 5-inch Mark 45 gun fired illumination shells, shockwaves tearing across the sea. The Phalanx CIWS Block 1B, a radar-guided Gatling cannon spewing 20mm tungsten rounds at 4,500 per minute, tore a skiff to splinters. Overhead, RQ-20 Puma drones circled, their infrared cameras turning chaos into clarity. Every hostile boat was tracked, tagged, and prioritized. The enemy adapts. But the attackers shifted tactics again. A third wave broadcast encrypted bursts on military frequencies, jamming sensors, moving in wide formation. This was not random. This was training. The Mason responded with precision. Mark 38, Mod 3 autocannons, gyro-stabilized and camera-guided, fired concussive 25mm rounds, flipping skiffs without direct hits. Another cram strike vaporized a boat that had slipped dangerously close. The swarm fractured. Some surrendered. Some fled. Others were reduced to burning debris. The battle's momentum had turned. As dawn broke, the sea was littered with wreckage. Oil slicks shimmered. Broken ladders floated among the waves. Smoke still drifted from shattered hulls. On the supply ship, sailors limped across decks scorched black. Medics bandaged burns and bullet wounds. Yet not a single sailor was lost. A miracle, given the scale of the attack. On the Mason, captured pirates lay zip-tied. Their radios still hummed with encrypted signals. The laminated NATO silhouettes confirmed the darkest suspicion. This was reconnaissance, not ransom. Imagine the analysts later, hunched over drone footage, piecing patterns together. Hull types common to Yemen. Radio signatures echoing Iranian proxies. Behaviors too disciplined for desperate raiders. This was not chaos. It was a deliberate probe. A tactical victory, yes. But strategically, it was a warning. Logistics as frontline targets. No ship can assume safety. A single destroyed supply vessel could paralyze a carrier strike group. The ROE dilemma. Waiting for clearance nearly cost the ship. In swarming scenarios, seconds matter more than policies, weapons, and doctrine. The century-old M2 Browning proved invaluable. The CRAM showed adaptability. But strain revealed a need for directed energy weapons and unmanned escorts. The human factor. Logistics crews became warriors. Damage control saved the ship as much as the gunners did. Hybrid warfare, civilian disguises, encrypted comms, and disciplined swarms blurred the line between piracy and state action. Imagine the next encounter. In the South China Sea, the Arctic, or the Strait of Hormuz. It may not be missiles that strike first, but swarms of fast boats and drones. The Navy must be ready. The Red Sea ambush was not just a battle, it was a revelation. A supply ship fought for survival. A destroyer turned the tide. Dozens of attackers were destroyed or captured. Yet the true story lies in what the wreckage revealed. A new form of war at sea. One fought in shadows, ambiguity, and silence before steel. Imagine standing on that deck after the smoke cleared. You see oil slicks stretch across the waves, the sunrise casting light on shattered skiffs. You know you survived. But you also know this was only a rehearsal for something greater. The US Navy prevailed, but the lesson is clear. In modern war, every ship is a target, every mission is a test, and the oceans are no longer safe.